While there's plenty of uncertainty about the future, there's at least some relative consensus that the steps we're taking now are the right ones. More than 90% of people across Massachusetts say they back the decisions to close schools, bars, dine-in restaurants, and non-essential businesses. And 94% say they're practicing strict social distancing, according to a Boston Globe Suffolk University poll. But when it comes to our collective state of mind, there's clearly increased anxiety, with 3/4 of respondents saying the level of fear is above average or higher than during other crises they've lived through. When asked for the first word that comes to mind when they think of coronavirus, more people said scary than anything else. The man behind the poll, Suffolk University's David Paleologos, joins me. David, thanks so much for joining. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
David, let's talk leadership to begin with. You test 3 leaders. The guy who gets 4 stars, maybe 5, is Charlie Baker, yes?
Absolutely. Massachusetts residents are behind the coach when tough times are tough, and the coach is Charlie Baker. Look at those numbers, 80%. Where can you get 80% agreeing on anything in Massachusetts? Compare that to Donald Trump's 27%. You've got a mile's worth of difference between the executive at the federal level and the executive at the state level.
Well, by the way, nationally, you know this, polls suggest that a majority of Americans actually approve of the job that Trump does. So we're just an outlier like always, yes?
Yes, we are. 30% of voters voted for Trump in the general election in 2016. This number's a little bit less, so that tells us that he's not even meeting expectations in Massachusetts based on the number of votes he got in 2016. He's only at 27%. He got 30% or above in the actual election. Baker's approval is at 80, and his overall approval has been in the 70s. So he's doing much better among residents.
So, and by the way, Marty Walsh, this is a statewide poll. Marty Walsh, and obviously a lot of people aren't his constituents, 65%, only 8% negative. Those are strong numbers. You know, I said a minute ago, David, 90% plus, which I have to say surprises me a little, support all of these closings. And the reason I found it so interesting is 60% plus in your poll said they were very or somewhat concerned about money. Yet 9 out of 10 supported closings, which means to me they're either communitarians or they're more concerned about their health than they are about money, which apparently they are by a 2-to-1 margin. Is that what it is, that health fears are so intense that they're willing to endure anything?
It tells us that the people who are working in Massachusetts remotely are not being impacted right now. Polls are a snapshot in time. That could change. But right now, it's all about coronavirus first, cash second.
You know, one of the things, you say a moment in time, I'm so glad you said that, because this has got to just be a moment in time. I am climbing up the walls, and I get to go to work during the day. 33% said they could handle a few more weeks. 24% said a few more months. 32%, 1 out of 3, said they could do it indefinitely. Again, that's what they believe now. If you went back to them in 2 weeks, I assume you'd see very different numbers, no?
I think you're right. You know, this was the finding that surprised me the most. 90% are saying 3 weeks or longer. That's incredible. But again, it shows that there's strong resolve, sense of community, and people helping out one another to make this medical crisis the most important thing. And if they have to stay in their homes indefinitely, some will do that.
You know, the one question you asked that I think has been really underreported on, I mentioned this to a doctor from MGH at the top of the show, because it seems to me this will stay with us long after, at least some after coronavirus disappears. I mentioned at the top of people who said it was the highest fear they'd ever experienced in a situation, well, not like this, but any sort of troubling situation. 17%, 1 out of 6. And overall, 3 out of 4 say more extreme or highest ever. That's intense, is it not?
It's intense because the virus is invisible, and man has always been most afraid of that which he or she cannot see. And this is the problem with the virus. You don't know if the person at the local 7-Eleven or the person at the gas station, or whether if you're touching the screen at your local bank is going to be the thing that that spreads this virus. So I think the intensity of that question is fear of the unknown.
We only have 30 seconds left. What's your major takeaway? There are a lot of different themes, directions this poll took. What's the thing that most stays with you, David?
Sense of community, a sense of positivity, and the fact that people are willing to hunker down and do whatever it takes to get back to life as normal. I mean, this is a big sports state, a big sports town. We're rallying behind the home team here, and we're doing whatever it takes to get through the game.
Good imagery there, David Paleologos. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time, as always.
My pleasure. Take care.